I am here to attest and affirm that our faith and belief in God is central to the American story and informs the values we've expressed in our party's platform. In addition, President Obama recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and our party's platform should as well. Mr. Chairman, I have submitted my amendment in writing. I move adoption of the amendment as submitted and shown to the delegates.
A motion has been made. Is there a second? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the matter requires a two-thirds vote in the affirmative. All those delegates in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no. In the opinion of the... Let me do that again.
All right, we'll try again.
All of those delegates...
Yeah, listen to me.
...in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no.
Whoops.
Let
me do it again. Hang on. What do I do here?
Guess...
Didn't work.
And then you've got to let them do what they're going to do.
Let them do what they're going to do.
I'll do that one more time.
Let's do it one more time. See if I get the outcome I want.
All those delegates in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, two-thirds have voted in the affirmative. The motion is adopted, and the platform has been amended as shown on the screen.
What happened to the party of the people
here? Thank you very much.
What happened? 3 no's for God in Jerusalem at the convention. I guess this is the convention. The Democratic Party tried to kick God out of the party. What does that mean? God gets booed 3 times? Anyway, Sean Hannity Show, glad you're with us. Toll free, 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. The Let Not Your Heart Be Troubled Twitter Army Brigade is at Sean Hannity. And don't forget, you don't want to miss tonight's special edition of Hannity Programming Note, as we will chronicle all of the lies and distortions the Democrats attempted to sell this week. We'll lay it out, all the truth that the media won't tell you, what wasn't in Obama's speech, booing God in Jerusalem, the nasty rhetoric at this convention, the truth about jobs that the media won't tell you, the truth about the bin Laden raid, considering they're taking credit for something that wouldn't have happened but for Bush, and the untold story of the GM bailout. It's all coming up tonight at Hannity on 9. But here to respond to this controversy, we have the Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson from the group Bond, Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny, and former pastor and founder and director of the Center for Progress of Alabama. We welcome back Jason Childs is with us. You're not a pastor anymore?
No, sir. No, I'm the acting founder and director of Center for Progress in Alabama now.
Oh, did you get kicked out of the church? Or?
Well, no, I didn't get kicked out at all. I did go through a divorce, and the denomination that I was a part of, after a divorce, you can't be a pastor.
Oh, so you got kicked out of the pulpit?
Well, I wouldn't say kicked out. That's just a policy of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Well, I mean, you weren't allowed to do it anymore.
Well, that's true, and it gave me the opportunity to do other things and meet a lot of people that I never would have met. I went to a Baptist high school, a Baptist college.
All right, so you moved. I got it. So you're not upset being kicked out of the church as a pastor. You don't care.
Well, no, not at all. I enjoyed the 5 years that I spent doing weddings and funerals and being at people's side in the hospital, but the opportunity I've had since then to be in 48 states and meet thousands of people I would have otherwise never met.
Why would the Democratic delegates, there's a couple of questions here, A, boo God 3 separate times, and B, here the mayor of Los Angeles, why didn't he listen to the overwhelming support of the no's and go along with what the delegates wanted? Why did they ignore the 99%, the will of the people?
Listen, they weren't booing God. They were booing the idea of revisionist history. It was in the 50s, 1956, that the far right started trying to add under God to the Pledge of Allegiance, under God to our motto. Our motto for several hundred years was E pluribus unum, out of many one.
Do you have a problem with one nation under God? Do you have a problem with, for all these years in the Democratic platform, in 2008, God was mentioned. In 2004, it was mentioned 7 times. Obviously, somebody consciously took it out, and they took out Jerusalem being the capital of Israel, our closest ally, at a time of great peril for Israel. You don't think these things are significant at all?
Well, I think it's very important. I was ashamed that they went against the wishes of the delegates. Several members of Center for Progress in Alabama were there, because the idea that we should be involved in deciding a nation's capital is preposterous. We have enough to take care of.
All right, but wait a minute. But they didn't listen to the people. I think that is a very crucial admission on your part.
Oh,
and I think it was all right.
Yeah,
so that's but why would they change it in the first place? Why would they have taken out God? Because it had to be done consciously. I mean, they go over these things with a fine-tooth comb.
They did it to correct a mistake. Our nation is a secular democracy founded by Freemasons. Most evangelical churches wouldn't even allow a Freemason to be a deacon in their church anymore. We are a secular democracy. Our nation's motto has always been, out of many, one. It was not broken.
All right, but so you agree with me that this was done consciously, and then because it became an issue, they bowed to political pressure?
Absolutely, and I'm ashamed.
I appreciate your honesty. Jeff, see, he's being honest. A lot of Democrats are not.
Yeah, he is. He sounds like a nice guy, too. We are a Judeo-Christian nation, whether you like it or not.
Well,
and as far as Israel is concerned, Barack Obama has never supported Israel. I mean, he went around the country denouncing our country when he first became president of this great nation, and there's nothing to indicate that he supports Israel. And the only reason that they put it back, and 2/3 of the people at that convention said no, they denied God 3 times. They said no. And Obama had to know, being the head of the Democratic Party, being the president, he had to know that they had taken that out.
Well, Jason is admitting, Jason is admitting that this was done for political expediency, which I think is a bigger concession than most of the other Democrats have made.
Pastor, listen, the Article 11 of the Treaty of Tripoli, it's our founding document. It says we are not, in any sense, a Christian nation. You just can't go back and undo that. And the other thing, the support of Israel, which really started in the 50s, is based on bad theology.
Well, Israel was founded. I mean, the UN partition plan was 1948, so.
Right, and in the 50s, evangelicals had this idea that if we're good to Israel, God will be good to us. It's a myth, a fable. It's bad theology.
No. We're not talking. We're not looking at Israel from a theological perspective. It is the only democracy, and they represent our closest values. This country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. That's just a fact.
Yeah, Ben Franklin suggested.
Right, but listen to me. Listen to me. You're splitting hairs. They represent an island, a small one of sanity in a sea of being surrounded by extremism that are dedicated to wiping them off the map. By the way, in the name of quote God, Allah, with the promise of 72 virgins in heaven. You've got the Muslim Brotherhood, you got Hamas, you got Hezbollah, you've got Iran fighting proxy wars, you got Syria, you got North Africa, the Middle East, Egypt has gone to the Brotherhood. I mean, it's a mess. And we're not supporting our closest ally, and at this moment of great peril, we're going to turn our back on them?
We have diplomatic relations with a lot of nations, and we do not presume to tell them where their capital should be. Our nation was founded as a secular democracy by Freemasons, and Ben Franklin at the Constitutional Convention suggested that they start each day with prayer. It was voted on, and they said no.
Well, we're not telling Israel where its capital should be. We're supporting Israel in that where its capital is located. And all of the presidents have supported Israel in that. But the Democratic platform goes against that. And one of the reasons I left the Democratic Party was when my heart changed, I could not identify with the platform. Not all Democrats are like that, but the platform itself. And we saw that during the vote this week. Not all Democrats believe in that, but the platform goes against the principles of God. Maybe you can answer this for me. The Democratic platform removed God from the public square, from government, from the public schools. They have destroyed the family and that order of God and family. And as they are doing this, everything is getting bad. Everything is going worse. When you look back, our country was getting better when we lived on the principles of God. Why would you want to change that?
I don't think everything's getting bad. I think things are getting better and better. We now have people who are gay, who aren't dragged behind pickup trucks and killed for who they are. Women are now paid and treated as equals. 17 million children now have access to health care they otherwise wouldn't have. We've just added
But see, what you're missing, and I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama, and we were subject to the Jim Crow laws and things like that. But we had the family. We believed in God. We believed in hard work. And as a result, the black Americans were stronger. Their families were tighter. The kids had more respect for the adults. They were educated because those principles were there. But when most black Americans, not all, but most left those principles and went into the Democratic platform or the Democratic Party, then everything in the black community started to fall apart. It just unraveled as they fell away from God.
I understand the coincidence that you're talking about, but it's not hand in hand. People still believe in God, and it's a personal matter. Our nation should never be involved in dictating to other people their faith or their lack thereof. We don't
dictate to other people that. People have the freedom to be right, and they have the freedom to be wrong. But what we're doing is fighting back. Men and women who believe in God, we're fighting back. If you want to be gay, you can go be gay. If you want to have an abortion, I'm not for it, but you can have an abortion. I don't want to pay for it because I don't agree with it.
Why should somebody pay for that, Jason?
Well, I think that taxpayer-funded abortions are decreasing every year.
I didn't ask you, but why should anybody, it's in the Democratic Party platform to pay for it and pay for birth control. Why should I have to pay for somebody's birth control or abortion?
Well, why should you be your brother's keeper?
You're not answering the question.
You're not answering my question. We're not talking about, food, housing, shelter, etc. We're talking about abortion.
Right. A woman who's...
And why should a Catholic church be forced to give birth control at Catholic hospitals and charities under this health and human services mandate?
Yeah, if you understand how insurance works, only if you use that service is it being paid for. So if no Catholics ask for birth control, they won't be paying for it.
That's not the point, but they are mandated to do something that is against their religious beliefs.
That's right.
No, that's not true. If they listen, we don't allow Jehovah's Witnesses. We don't allow Jehovah's Witnesses to have insurance policies that forbid blood transfusions just because they
No, but that's not the same thing. People, look, why the Catholic Church has very strong teachings on birth control and abortion. And under the health and HHS mandate, they're going to force this church to do something that goes against the tenets of their teachings for hundreds and hundreds of years. And taxpayer-funded abortion, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
Why don't you and your liberal friends get together if you think it's so important, and why don't you raise the money?
Well, the Jehovah's Witnesses have very strong...
I didn't ask you about Jehovah's Witnesses. We're talking about abortion and mandating contraception.
Well, Sean, let me say this.
Wait, Pastor, listen. He's picking the faith he belongs to and defending it and not caring about the Jehovah's Witnesses.
We're not talking about the Jehovah's Witnesses at this point. Let me just tell you this. Let me tell you this. You can go to my website at bondinfo.org. Bondinfo.org. 70% of Planned Parenthood abortion mills are located in the inner cities around the country. Every day, over 1,500 black babies are aborted. Planned Parenthood is performing more abortion than they are anything else. And the reason that they're doing it, and I've witnessed this myself because we're working with young girls as young as 12 and 13 who are having abortion over and over again. And Planned Parenthood is making buku money. The government, our tax dollars, are paying for these young girls to have these abortions. And if you can't understand that, I don't know where your heart is. These girls' lives are being destroyed and their babies are being murdered inside their wombs, and now they're tripping out, they're emotionally destroyed. How do you think that is good?
Well, if we only cared about the babies who were born...
I'm talking about the mothers, too.
As much as we cared about the ones who weren't, we wouldn't have this problem.
But how do you not care about that? The mothers are being destroyed emotionally and spiritually, and their children are being murdered inside the womb. Do you care about that?
No, I disagree that children are being murdered. I think that
I'm seeing it every day.
It's legal, and if you care so much about children, take care of the ones who have been born. Republicans vote against insurance for children, vote against
I want to go back to the question, if you can answer it for me. Do you feel anything for the young mothers who are having to go through this? They're being traumatized twice. One, by having to have this happening to their child inside their bodies, and secondly, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, they are traumatized. Does that bother you?
No, what bothers me is women who are raped.
No, it doesn't bother you?
No, what bothers me is women who are raped or forced to carry pregnancies that they can't afford, and they're crippled by not being allowed to have control of their own bodies.
I have family members I have family members, Sean, and to your guest, that were Democrats. And when they heard that the Democrats had removed God from the platform, because they couldn't believe when I was telling them that Democrats had removed God out of the public square. But when they saw it for themselves the other night, they are leaving the Democratic Party. They are now looking at the Republican platform, and they are starting to think, or at least think about voting for Romney, because the black Americans, not the so-called leadership, but the average person, they don't support same-sex marriage. They don't support abortion. They had no idea that all this was going on. And the Democratic platform removed God and put same-sex marriage as one of the top leaders of their platform, or head of their platform. And most black Americans did not know that. So it's having a positive effect.
Well, the rights of gay Americans is the forefront. You know, in Colossians chapter 3:23, it says, "Slaves, be good slaves and obey your masters." Your people were held down and forced into slavery by people quoting the book you now read. Abortion, gay rights, women's rights, these are fundamental issues of human rights. Science is where we seek our answers, not books of fables, myths, and legends.
All right, let's give Jesse the last word back. Go ahead, Jesse.
Do you believe in God, sir?
Yeah, I believe in God. I don't think that he's ever come to earth, and I think that we should be...
Okay, so let me ask you this really fast. Do you believe that God gave these people the right to kill a child inside their womb? Is that in the scriptures?
Yeah, in the book of Deuteronomy, it says you can kill your children for being disobedient. I wouldn't look to scriptures. I would look to science.
All right. This is getting out of control. We got to run. Thank you both for being with us. Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, Jason Childs. Quick break. Right back. We'll continue.